get on Velocicoaster.
I should. What did you think, Amy? You liked it?
It's my favorite.
Oh, it's her
my
favorite.
ride.
Velocicoaster, really? Your hair.
Ever.
Your hair must be like flying back into someone's face.
I had to put it. I put it up.
The first time I
like
rode
it, by the way.
Velocicoaster, I just laughed the whole time because I had no concept of what was happening around me. And then the most recent time we rode it was at the Orlando Informer event. And I additionally laughed the whole time because we went through the line so fast. And I feel like you need a little bit of like mental preparation as you're like going up there. You're like, you know what to expect, but like you need the whole 20 minutes or so. And it was like walk on 5 minutes, locked in, you're done. Like it was.
I know. We were sitting down and like we were like, we haven't had time to think about this yet.
Derek, have you been on Forbidden Journey?
No, I've never even seen Hogsmeade before. Ever.
Okay, if you can do Forbidden Journey before March 31st, you should, because it gives you an idea of what Monsters Unchained or Unleashed is going to be like. Because, yeah, Jeff, I was telling you, I couldn't believe how some of those things came at you. The Death Eater thing.
My brother said, and my sister-in-law too, because my son Connor gets sick on Forbidden Journey like every single time, and he loves the roller coasters like crazy. But something about Forbidden Journey totally makes him like sick.
Really?
But my brother said the monster one is like it's so smooth, it doesn't make you sick, it doesn't make you nauseous, and
I think Forbidden Journey makes
the
me
Harry
nauseous
Potter
too.
one has not been ridden yet, so no one has ridden the Harry Potter one.
Oh.
They were able to walk through the queue and walk through the town, and they saw the Fantastical Beasts show, and they said the town is amazing. They said it's so cool.
Even
no one
Monsters,
right.
Nobody got on it the first team member day, so I was shocked. They must have went back the second day and got on it. So that's great.
Oh yeah. They said there's times like every time they've been, it's like okay, everything's shut down for an hour, then they started back up again and stuff. So yeah, it's 2 months away from opening. So
We're officially a Universal podcast now. That's what you're tuning into now, folks. So hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show. I am your host, Paul Krieger, joined as always by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger. We've got John Sakari. You're not even going to react. You didn't even say anything.
Hello. Emerson,
the dog?
hello.
Emerson Krieger. We've got John Sakari, Big Fat Panda, with us.
Welcome home.
I'm going to say the whole thing this time because I got reprimanded last time. Derek DeBoer, Senior Sales Associate for the DVC Resale Market.
Well,
Curmudgeon.
hey now.
And the one, the only Jeff Haslam.
Hey, everybody. We're sorry.
No, we're not. We are sorry if you're tuning in 2 weeks in a row and wanted to not hear more about Universal, because I think it is a very relevant topic right now, and we have a lot of thoughts related to it that also relate to Disney and Disney Vacation Club. And so we kind of made it halfway through the last show that we did on this topic. If you did miss last week's show, please go back and check that out, where we talked really about our thoughts about Epic Universe, what we're excited for, the different lands that are coming to this new theme park at Universal, and also got a little bit into, how this compares to Disney and maybe the worries and fears that Disney should have about Epic's opening, and kind of, will it pull some people away? Will it not? Panda and Jeff got into a fist fight mid-show, so you're definitely going to want to go back in time, and we're really hoping for more of those fireworks on this week's show as well.
If you listen to Jeff and I, we're actually saying the same thing. I'm just saying it with more hope.
He's way more optimistic than I am.
Right, that's all it is. We're saying the same thing. I'm just hopeful. Jeff's already, put the nail in the coffin. So, and he could be right, which is why I just am in denial. Maybe, I don't know.
Yep. Panda also likes to stay in a trailer in the middle of a swamp, so I wouldn't be too excited.
I thought about that the other day. It was still nice and cozy while the death
As soon as you
was
mention
outside.
it, he gets so excited about it, his voice gets like a couple octaves higher because of how excited he is.
Well, hey, we're going back to that trailer in the swamp later this summer. August 8th through the 10th, the Cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort is our DVC Fan Summerfest. You can catch Panda zooming around on a golf cart, and we're going to have all kinds of fun. So please head to our DVC Fan Facebook group. Make sure you let us know if you do plan to come. We have some special events that we're kind of teeing up for that event. I've shared it with this group. I can't share it publicly yet, but we're pretty excited about what's going to happen that weekend. So please head to the DVC Fan Facebook group and let us know that you're coming, because if you do, if we get enough of you, then we can maybe do some fun stuff. So that's all I've got to say about that.
If only a couple of you come, you're going to be bored. No, I'm just
We're
just kidding.
We're gonna be like kumbayaing around a fire pit at Fort Wilderness. That'll be about it. That would be fun.
I don't want to knock you off
I'll
the
bring
rails.
my guitar.
Hey, we're already off the. When are we on the rails?
You've
That's my
not-
true question.
You went through a whole show that we just filmed, and you didn't say anything about the fact that we're sitting in a completely different room, that you did all this work.
Because the audio podcasters out there, like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. I'm running on a treadmill listening to you, or driving in traffic right now and honking at, someone that just cut me off on I-4.
Anyways, we're no longer in Paul's office. We've finally gotten our study podcast room semi together. We still have some work to do to make our shelves look a little bit better.
I like it.
But
It's beautiful.
I love the DVC fan
Graphic?
graphics
That's
that you
fantastic.
put on our TV back there.
Made it in 5 minutes today.
You know what my favorite thing about that room is? You can't see it. It's not in the shot. But there's an awesome ceiling fan right above their head that whoever
It
installed
never
that
turns
did a
off.
very
off.
poor job because it stays on all the time.
Hey, we were flustered because we dropped it once anyhow. That's the second one that's actually hung in this room. The first one fell. So if you need electrician repair, Paul and Jeff are available for hire. Hey, speaking of sponsors, World of DVC, they sponsor this show, and they let us do all these wackadoo things that we do every single week. So if you want to, head to DVC Resale Market if you want to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract. Monera Financial, who can help in financing that DVC resale contract purchase. And the DVC Rental Store, where you can try before you buy, rent out some points for a fraction of the cost as it is direct through Disney, or rent out your own points. And I didn't do this in the last show, but I should have. You can also swap your points for a Universal vacation. So that is an awesome opportunity as well. Use your DVC points and then go to see Epic Universe. So please show some love for our sponsors. There's more information at dvcrentalstore.com about that swap program. Also, if you're just listening to this show and just kind of are like, I just want to plan an entire vacation to Epic Universe or to Universal, our travel agency, Be Our Guest Vacations. I said it right. There we go. They can also help you with planning that Epic Universe trip. So thank you for our sponsors. We are derailed now because I don't know where to go from here. But we are still talking about Epic Universe, and more so this show, we're going to really dive into what I think is the thing that a lot of people are questioning and thinking about, which is what is going to be Disney's response? How is this going to affect Disney? And it's kind of where we ended off our last show. And we talked a little bit about, short-term response. This is definitely going to draw some visitors away from Disney, especially those who kind of visit both resorts or maybe that are a Disney Vacation Club member. Maybe now they will actually take a day or two of that trip and navigate over to Universal. Long-term, though, and I think we also discussed in that show as well, some of that increase in overall tourism. And that's kind of been that thing that Disney has been claiming, is that overall increase of tourism. Oh, we're not so worried about that. But in the most recent quarterly earnings call, it was the first time where there was kind of, maybe a kink in the armor. They actually kind of said, we do anticipate, maybe a mild effect related to Epic Universe's opening. And I think that acknowledgement from Disney is kind of the biggest surprise. Panda, you're kind of nodding along with that.
Yeah, I mean, Amy very smartly said, it's not just like you have, this amount of people and then they open up another park and that they go. More people come to see that. That's great. But yeah, Disney knows they've got some market share. They've priced themselves to believe that, they're the top dog, and now they see somebody else is coming in that's starting to be a little more top maybe. And I think they're getting a little scared, which is good. I think that we're going to see attractions that have less budget cuts, lands that have less budget cuts. And I do believe before 5 years is up, we're going to hear about a new theme park from Disney.
Derek, related to Disney Vacation Club specifically, Jeff is just mean mugging Panda.
I know.
It is. I just want you,
Jeff,
audio
5
listeners
years.
to, like, just
Announcement
realize.
within 5 years. Fifth gate within 5 years. It's going to happen, Jeff. I know it already.
You want me to respond? I thought you were talking to Derek. I'm just ignoring
Just
this
go
guy.
ahead. I'm just going to let you guys go for a little bit. Get my popcorn
I will
out.
say this. I know the executives aren't on property this week right now. Bob Iger, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, they were at Disney Springs last night. I'm hopeful that they're touring the parks to kind of see where they can make these improvements. Panda, you may be right. They may be looking down the road at some potential fifth gate stuff. But we've kind of talked about this last week. I think they're too scared to spend the money. You look at everything that they announced at D23, and the first reaction from every single person on the internet was, "Great, we've been promised this before." Look at Epcot as a prime example. I think they're comfortable with the market share that they have, that they don't feel like they need to spend the dollars that Universal has always been a step behind as far as this market share of theme park visitors to the Central Orlando area. They have the ability to spend money to pick away at that. Disney already has them, and they're fine with what they've got because all they do is jack up the prices. It's too crowded anyway. The hotels are too crowded and they're full all the time. I think they're trigger shy.
You think they're still comfortable, or maybe now they're just starting to wake up?
Whoa, hi.
So lovely. At least look, I curled my hair. Do you see how?
The event shot.
Nice
And
fan.
they are comfortable because you look at these. They just increased prices again, just 2 months ago. They just came out this morning and said, "We're changing the way you can pay for your annual pass monthly. You can get in for cheaper, $100 down, but your monthly payment's going to go up because
Right, but they didn't increase the price yet. I mean,
not till September when they increase it every single time.
They're gonna do that anyway.
They don't feel the need to spend a lot of money in the parks because people are coming anyway. So unless this Epic Universe really steals away, and I'm saying significant, like it has to be 30% or more of the market share, I don't think that Disney wants to do it. And everything that they've done up to this point is the only proof that I have.
Yeah, I don't know Disney to roll over and just take it. I don't.
No.
I think
No.
you're going to see some. I already know, like, budget cuts were supposed to be made to Villains Land. That got, no, we're not. We're doing this because of Epic. So if that continues, let's just hope. Let's hope.
I'm with you, Panda. I think 100%. And I totally get what Jeff's coming from.
Me too.
But we, like I mentioned on the last show, we've never had a situation like this happen. Disney's never, the closest thing would be what? Like Islands of Adventure? Maybe
right.
Something on the scale of this magnitude has never happened. And what this is going to do, because we're in a totally different time, my God, with the internet and with social media and with everything else, what this park is going to give, which is something that Disney lacks a lot of when it comes to announcements, is buzz. It is going to create so much buzz, and people are going to be talking about it, and they're going to be raving about it, and they're going to be showing videos, and you're going to see all your favorite vloggers, and everybody's going to say, "Oh my God, I gotta get there." If you think of every single park at Disney, when people rope drop, they're not rope dropping to go to the teacups. They're not rope dropping to go ride. They're rope dropping the thrill rides, right? So the longest one, the closest thing to have, that's what they're doing. Universal said, "Listen, we know what people want. We're going to build a whole park for you. And it's going to have some awesome thrill rides. We're going to have some stuff that's going to scare you." Whereas I think Disney's not going to be able, for the first time in a long time, especially, like I said, in this day and age, they're not going to be able to avoid it. I mean, Epic is going to be everywhere. And my God, if it lives up to the hype for these guests that, these team member previews that are coming out, and as good as what people say it is, Disney's gonna have to respond. And when I say respond, I don't mean by taking, it's tough to be a bug movie and putting in a Zootopia movie. I don't mean replacing a Millennium Falcon movie by putting in a Mando little baby Yoda movie. That's not buzz. That's where people go, oh my God, it's about time they changed that. It's 37 years old. That's not
a new
buzz.
themed
This park-
a new
this
themed
park
cupcake.
will be buzz. This park will be buzz, and people will be talking about it, saying, "Holy, I can't believe there's nothing like this at Disney." Which will
and
get
look at this
people
show
off
alone.
Disney
We
property.
are a Disney Vacation Club show, and this is the second week in a row that we are talking about this, and it's not even opened yet. Like, we are just talking about the impact that we already know it's having. Just if there is, right now we're in cast member previews, we're in friends and family previews that are going on. They're not allowed to take pictures, but you've got people taking aerial pictures of this park, and when someone sees something new, it's like the world has exploded on social media. It is absolutely blown up.
1 second, and then I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
No, he's not.
That actually kind of proves my point, because yes, I think Epic is going to be epic. I think it's going to knock it out of the park, and I think it's going to take all these guests from Disney, and Disney is going to big. Hi.
Jeff's shot is somehow changed to us. I don't know. There you go. Okay. Continue.
I think all the things that you guys just said are true, but the problem with Disney and making these big moves is us. It's the Disney fandom. It doesn't matter what Disney announces. They can't do anything right. And the internet people, the trolls, just blow up. I can't believe they put Guardians in Epcot. I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did that. Disney guests are never happy. And that's why Universal is so successful right now, is they are going after a demographic that Disney has no intention of ever going after. And if you look at any of the comments on our Universal shows, or anytime we talk about Universal in our Facebook group, the comments are pretty consistently, there's really nothing at Universal that I like. The IP doesn't really appeal to me. There's nothing for kids to do. And I think Epic is doing well with Mario and How to Train Your Dragon. But Dark Universe is not going to be kid friendly. They are going after the teenagers and the young adults that Disney doesn't want. And so I think that's why Epic Universe is going to do so well, because anytime Disney has to build something, they have to build a pretty good attraction with a kiddie attraction with a restaurant, because that's what the fans always expect.
You said the fans, always have a problem with everything Disney. When they do it right, it's okay. When Villains Land was announced, that was met with great applause everywhere. I didn't hear anybody complaining.
Oh, you looked in the wrong forums, because there was plenty of, why did they put that in Magic Kingdom? Why didn't they give it its own land? Why? Yeah. What rides are there going to be? We don't even know what rides. Why are people getting excited?
You don't think the buzz was mostly positive for Villains Land? You don't think it felt positive?
I saw plenty of positive, but I saw equal amounts of negative.
And you don't think that land is going to be built on a grander scale because of Epic?
I think they've already pulled the permits, and they're not going to increase the size of what they've already budgeted for.
No, but the original thought of it is supposed to be a different type of land for Disney.
We don't know what it is. They haven't given us any details.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the concept art, and I heard what John.
But look at concept art for Epcot. We've seen that too.
Cherry Tree Lane.
Yep.
Well, and here's the other thing: you have
got some points.
My big thing here is, I'm not necessarily fully siding with Jeff on this, but let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2019-ish when Epic Universe was announced, and it was exciting. Like, we were all like, we didn't really know what to expect at that point in time. But here we are with an announcement of a brand new park years after everyone has been saying Disney needs a fifth gate. We have at least someone in the Orlando space that is committing to a brand new theme park. And so you have that entering the dynamic. Then you have the entire pandemic that happens. And guess what Universal does? They just keep moving some dirt. During the pandemic, they built an entire new roller coaster called Velocicoaster. They just kept doing stuff. And Disney, meanwhile, sat on Tron for 5 years. And so we are entering an age right now. We are in a year in which there is economic uncertainty. There is some questions about how people are going to be spending moving into the future. We're already seeing Disney's numbers are down, with what they're seeing in terms of bookings as we head into late 2025. So there's concern there. And if anyone's going to pump the brakes, I do have to agree it is Disney, because I want to believe what you are saying, Panda, like that they are changing, that they are going to change. I really
They
hope
have to
that's true.
spend money to make money. Things change. Look, we had a great Michael Eisner. Why can't we have another guy like that in a year from now? It could happen.
The board will
I
let him
hope.
anymore.
I am so hopeful for that.
Okay, I do have to agree with Panda some. Like I want to be optimistic that Disney is going to see like the effects and they're going to take action. And I think that we've seen that a little bit. Maybe I make this up in my head, but we have seen loyal Disney people moving to other brands. And I think that the Icon of the Seas is a really good example of that. We see a lot of people who have been very true to Disney Cruise Line, and we've got this new, shiny, beautiful, amazing ship, which, by the way, Paul and I are going on next Saturday for the second time. We actually canceled.
We will be on it when this show goes live.
Yes, we will.
That's a crazy thought.
Think of us. No, but we actually canceled a treasure cruise that was supposed to be this February for this Icon cruise instead. And I actually am so glad with that decision, because they changed the itinerary of the treasure cruise at the last minute. And I wanted to go to Puerto Rico and they changed it. So, and I've seen it and I've seen the videos, and look, the treasure is beautiful. Disney Cruise Line is great. But to me, that ship is, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but that ship is the Wish with different wallpaper. And we've seen loyal Disney Cruise Line people wanting to try Icon and wanting to try Star of the Seas. And, Nick, who is our CEO, went on Icon and he was so impressed, and they had loved Disney. They'd been big Disney cruise people, and they were so impressed that they booked Star of the Seas, almost immediately.
Well, the second day of the cruise.
Yeah.
They booked it on board.
And honestly, as you're sitting here, we obviously are very loyal to Disney. We've loved Disney Cruise Line. Yeah. We are going on our second Icon cruise. We have the Star booked, and we have the Legend booked, the third Icon class ship, for 2027 already.
We need therapy.
With that said, Disney Cruise Line, with all the fervor and stuff from Icon, we have seen the announcement of more Disney Cruise Line ships, and we've seen the Adventure of the Seas. And if you look at the Adventure of the Seas, it looks like an Oasis class ship. Like the style and the way it's set up looks like it's trying to compete with Royal Caribbean. So I feel like, the way that in Disney Cruise Line, maybe they didn't intentionally do that, but they obviously are competing for some market share there. But they're seeing what's going on. They're seeing what's being popular over there, and they're trying to bring some of that into their cruise line. I think that we might see that happen in the parks as well.
Yeah, I kind of go back to what I said before. I hope, I'm optimistic. Panda is much more optimistic than the rest of us, I think. It's.
I'm not saying Disney's going to change because they feel bad and they're moral. I think money. I think when they see that they're not getting the market share, they have to wake up. The company's not going to roll over.
Well, and especially with how much they're relying on the parks revenue now. Parks and resorts is a huge, aspect of their business. It wasn't always that case. It's been more so now that they've kind of shifted into this modular streaming / whatever you want to call it, that parks and resorts has kind of slowly emerged as like, this is the consistent player. And if you've ever been in business, you want that consistent revenue maker. You want that cash cow to just keep making its cash, and you don't want to have to worry about it. But to do that, I agree with you, Panda. They have to spend. They have to be able to say, okay, we're willing to invest in this because that keeps this cash cow fed. It's the grain, or it's the high grass, or whatever you're feeding your cow. What? Yeah, I'm losing it.
Panda,
I get it.
You said that you've heard rumor, speculation that they were already considering cutting the budget some.
A top Imagineer, there was a friend of mine, is in a room where they, start to go through what are they going to cut from the villains thing, and apparently it wasn't the same conversation as usual because of Epic. They upped it. They were like, no, we're going to go with this. We're doing this special. We're building the extra height. We're putting in the extra background or something. The ride is going to be longer. I don't think they're going to, I think the boat ride in Na'vi River Journey, which was supposed to be like double the size, really got cut to nothing. If it wasn't for that last animatronic, there's not a lot there. I think in this climate, that change probably would not have happened. They would have said, we can't. Look at what Epic is. This ride needs to be something. I think that's where we're going. I hope.
Well, and I want to be optimistic, and I hope you're right, because I really do want this for myself, for other fellow Disney fans. I guess what it comes down to is I'm tired personally of having to lower my expectations with Disney so that I'm not disappointed. And we look at what's happened with Epcot, and even the Festival Center. You compare what was going to be to what is now. I will say, Flower and Garden at that Festival Center they did a really beautiful job decorating the interior of that space. But we never got our Mary Poppins. We never got the Spaceship Earth refurb. We've got Tron, which was built 15 years ago across the ocean. I'm tired of having to fight online with people saying, no, really, they do good things, I promise. You just have to lower your expectations to be happy about it.
It reminds me of the short or the real clip that I made of Derek from a recent show where Derek was like, it shouldn't be that a burger is just okay.
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
I think Guardians, I'm sorry.
Jeff just summed it up perfectly, because it's even when he said Festival Center, right? Let's remind everybody that Festival Center wasn't like, oh, it's just going to be down for 2 months or 3 months. We're talking years. And when it finally opened, everyone's like, it looks like a college cafeteria or like a waiting room in like an airport, whatever. But now, because they put some flowers in it and some stuff up top, people like Jeff go, you know what? They did a nice job.
No. What happened to the double-decker?
Well, yes. What happened to all that stuff? Because I think what's going to happen is that, we kind of touched on this too, is that Disney needs to truly, and I know it's a whole other show, they need to just worship Disney Vacation Club members, because they're the ones that are going to keep coming back no matter what. They're the ones that are going to keep coming back, and we don't come down for free. I mean, hell.
But you see what you just said? Do you see what you just said? You said they're going to keep coming back no matter what. So why do they have to cater to us?
Because the problem is, it's the people that come down for the quote unquote first time, right? Are they going to be totally wowed in the fact of that's what Disney Vacation Club thrives on, is they want people to come down here and go, you know what? I can't imagine the rest of my life not being able, I need to find a way to come back here year after year, because every attraction, every park was so amazing. I didn't have time to do it all. So I need to find an affordable way to keep coming back here. That's what they need to have. Whereas I feel like Disney Vacation Club members, God love it, we still come, we still spend a ton of money, but we're fine with like, oh yeah, have you seen that new Millennium Falcon movie that took like 3 years? Yeah, it's pretty cool. But what about the family that came for the first time that goes, yeah, it was fine. Whereas the family that comes down and goes, did you guys go to Epic yet? Have you been? Oh my God, you gotta take an Uber. No, don't go to the studios. You gotta go to Epic. It's so insane. It's so good. Where is that for Disney? Like Jeff just said, I feel like all this stuff is coming. No one's going to go, oh my God, have you been to that new McMansion member lounge over at Epcot or over at the Magic Kingdom? Oh, it'll blow you away.
I was going to say, can you imagine how many more Uber rides and Lyft rides there are going to be coming to Disney Vacation Club resorts just to take people to Epic for a day or two?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot.
That is part of my concern, though, with this is that, Disney is about 2 years behind when we really look at the time frame of how these things are evolved. So these things are going to happen within the next year or year and a half. Disney Vacation Club members are going to go and it goes back to the whole like Magical Express thing where you wanted to just keep them on Disney property. You didn't want to show them what was beyond these walls, because if they realize that down the street there's something a little bit better or a little bit on the same level, then you've really exposed them to something else, and you've now lost market share to them. And that's the ultimate thing, is losing market share to them. You mentioned taking an Uber, and I did have in my notes for this show, if you are a Disney Vacation Club member and you are thinking about going to Universal or thinking about going to Epic Universe, Saratoga Springs, Old Key West. I know people don't think about these resorts typically because they want to be in the center of the action at Disney, but you're going to be able to hop right on I-4 and down the street, and you're going to be right there. So those are going to be kind of your closest properties that you're going to want to
and the
book.
most affordable on points.
Yeah. So it's kind of those resorts where if you are looking to maybe do a less parks trip of some capacity, then you kind of gravitate to that. And I think this is kind of a nice segue. Derek, I kind of fed you this question a little bit earlier to ponder on, but what kind of impact do you think Epic is going to have on DVC? What kind of impact do you think this might have on like Disney Vacation Club members in general?
I mean, I think overall, like I mentioned before, I mean, anything like this is such a huge deal that doesn't happen every year. It doesn't happen every 5 years. God knows it hasn't happened in Central Florida in a really, really, really long time. Like 1998 is the opening of a whole new park. That I just don't think there's anything negative about it for Disney Vacation Club members, right? I mean, it's going to drive more people to Central Florida, obviously, because they're going to want to experience it. But I think for those people especially those people that book flights and travel, another great option for you to do with your family, to me, it's just a win-win. And again, it's an Uber ride away. That's what kills me, is that, again, in 1998, like we talked about, technology was different, right? There wasn't daily vlogs, and there wasn't these, social media pages, and there wasn't even, Ubers. Like we talked about, Annie and I used to come down here, stay at the boardwalk. This is 20 some years ago, but we used to always make it kind of a tradition that we used to get a cab back when you used to have to call a cab, and we used to have it come pick us up at the boardwalk and take us to City Walk. Just because we just thought City Walk was like the coolest place in the world. It had a NASCAR cafe and a Bob Marley's and, of course, Margaritaville. But we used to do that, and we're the biggest Disney fans on the whole planet. We used to leave the bubble, before we got fully immersed in the bubble. But that's what Disney's not realizing, is now in this day and age where you get on your phone or your watch and you could have a transportation come and pick you up and take you anywhere you want to go. For a Disney Vacation Club member, I mean, for me, it's just a win-win, because I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go. So if it causes Disney to up their game, but I think you made a perfect point too, Paul, they could watch this park open. They could have emergency meetings and say, we got to up it. It ain't coming in like 6 months. You're talking 5, 6, 7 years down the road is going to be their official response to Epic Universe, where in the meantime, stuff's going to pop up here and there. Here's a new Bug movie. Here's a new this movie. Blah, 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 whatever. But
and with how Disney works versus Universal, it's been night and day. I will say that, in an official capacity, like with World of DVC and stuff, like I've been privy to meetings with Universal. There is so much less red tape that you have to go through in those conversations. Even when it comes to, Derek, we've worked with Universal to talk about, our Universal swap program with DVC Rental Store. And there's been conversations about the verbiage and all of those types of things and what words you can use and what you can't. But the approval process, what you have to jump through to do that is so much quicker. They're very responsive to that. Maybe it is because, they're not as big as Disney, but I think Disney has just put up too many roadblocks in that path. I know someone that actually works in Disney kind of communications and PR, and my understanding is like to prep an article for, say, something that's coming up 6 months from now. They're planning that today because they have to then send out, the article for 25, if your ride or your department is mentioned, you have to read it and you have to approve it, and then lawyers read it and lawyers approve it. And there's too much. They need to kind of cut all of that out of this process and really just let creativity thrive, which is what Universal's plan has really been moving forward. And let's jump into what Disney's response has been so far, because we have some concrete plans. Concrete is moving, but there's also a lot of question marks, I think, with what those things are. So at D23 last year, we did learn that over at Animal Kingdom, Tropical Americas is happening. So this is going to be a transformation of what is Dino Land USA. They've already gutted half of that section. They've already broken ground. They're starting work on that area. Part of it is going to really embrace the Encanto IP and properties, and the other section is really going to double down on Indiana Jones. And so that's really going to be what embraces that area. We also, to Magic Kingdom, is going to get essentially its kind of Cars land, so to say. So Rivers of America is going away, and we're going to have a nice Cars-based attraction that is there, and some Cars theming that kind of integrates with the Frontierland concept. Beyond Big Thunder Mountain is where we have Villains Land, which that remains kind of that very blue sky vision. It was rumored. It was then kind of confirmed at D23, but we've not heard anything else. We've not really heard what this entails beyond that. You know, what
they just keep showing that same picture where everything is like blue and purple and black and
It
mysterious.
kind of looks like that
and
AI image we came up with. Do you remember when we
I do remember that.
we were creating our own
created the
resorts?
hotels?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 10 minutes before Josh Tomorrow's presentation, they were like, but let's just throw
Chat
this in there.
GTP.
Yeah. Come on, create an AI image.
Yeah.
There is a new cupcake, though, coming, Derek. A new cupcake also.
Last but not least, before we kind of talk about this, you've got over at Hollywood Studios. This is one that, again, is met with controversy. I'm not going to get into the Muppets controversy, but it's not an expansion. It's basically move and replace. So they're taking basically the Muppets courtyard area, and that is going to become the Monsters Inc. Coaster and everything like that. A couple weeks ago, we did receive at South by Southwest it almost turned into kind of a mini D23 where we got a little bit of pieces of information about the ride systems that they're building for these. But again, these are big PR events where they have the opportunity to make a splash in the news, and they did to a degree. You know, we did get kind of some nice little things, but a little something on Villains Land would have been nice. Like a little nugget of something of like what.
I mean, we just got more details about what we already knew.
Correct.
There's another bigger thing going on, and it kind of fits in, and I won't go on too much, but did you see where the Muppets Theater is in the Monsters concept art? It looks like a Monsters Theater. What would go in there? Except for the comedy show that's in Tomorrowland. There.
Maybe, but I don't think so.
Okay, but if that happens, think about it. Now, Tomorrowland, you have that empty space, if that's the case. You have the Stitch area, the empty space. I don't want to say this, but I believe Carousel of Progress is on its last leg. What could they do? That whole area may change again to be a brand new Tomorrowland with 3 different attractions. What could they put in that theater, though, Jeff? Why would they have that? I think they're going to get rid of the comedy thing in Tomorrowland. It doesn't even fit, really, Tomorrowland.
No, they will, but I think they'll come up with something new for that. I think that show is already a little bit tired. It's almost 20 years old now, I think, or 15 years old. But what I was going to say to Paul's point, everything that you just talked about, it's not just Monsters Inc. Land that's a move and replace.
Everything is, except Villains.
Except for Villains Land. Mm-hmm. is stuff that they're not expanding capacity. They're just dumping what's there to replace with something that's new. But I don't know. My thing is this. Disney did this to themselves when they took Magic Express away. They popped their own bubble, like we've already talked about. You people would come from the airport. Your thing started way back before you even got to the airport. You got your luggage tags and all that stuff. They've popped that for themselves, and people have started to understand there's a whole new world out there.
Yeah,
you're cute.
But going from, Disney to Universal is so simple, and now Universal, for a very reasonable rate, will drive you to the airport. So I don't think it's going to change for DVC people a lot. I think they're going to have the ability. Most of our DVC community isn't doing a lot of parks, it seems like lately. The people that we talk to, I went to dinner with some folks last night, been members forever. He's got 15 contracts now. They hadn't been to the parks all week. They sit by the pool. I don't think our membership that we know is going to be greatly affected. I think this is for people, like we said earlier, that target demographic, that teenage to young adult thrill ride seekers, because Disney can't do that. They don't have, there's too many families that come that mom and dad have to baby swap with little Henrietta so that they can go one at a time to ride Rock and Roller Coaster while the kid gets to go to Lightning McQueen. They don't have the same demographic, and Universal has the ability to get rid of things because there is no nostalgia, where we saw what happened when Splash Mountain was going away. We saw what happened when the Rivers of America was going away. It was announced. Universal can get rid of anything, and then nobody cares. It's just the next great thing.
Yep.
Disney fans have too much of a tie, and it makes it really hard to do the expansion.
You got to read the Universal blogs. Every time they change ET, there's an uproar.
Have they changed ET in 25 years?
I'll be one of
They
them.
they just refreshed it and added a bunch of stuff.
I would uproar too. Jeff, when you were
ET looks great right now, by the way.
when you were talking, something that I couldn't help but think, a huge opportunity for Universal would be find some small plot of land that is near Disney Springs as like a bus depot. All you got to do is just build a bus depot to just tout people back and forth from your parks. There's got to be some parcel there that definitely would probably pay for itself in doing that, because just taking people on day trips somehow, just a tremendous opportunity. So,
well, and to talk about, sorry, really quick, you were talking about, I think it was Panda that said we're 5 or 6 years, or no, it was Derek, 5 or 6 years away from anything that Disney can do to answer Epic Universe. But based on what Universal's done the last 10 years, do you think they're just going to sit idly by for the next 5 while Disney comes up with a plan? No, they're also going to keep building.
Well, and
they're already talking about expanding.
Exactly. That's already public knowledge. They actually came out with a recent video where they were talking about what they're doing at Epic Universe, but also what they're doing beyond Epic Universe. They're already talking about the expansions or the changes that they're doing beyond that. We know that permits have been filed, that Rip Rad Rocket is going to be torn down, and that's going to be replaced with something. You have to imagine that portions of Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios are also going to change here within the next few years. I have to say, writing is on the wall for The Simpsons, since it's a Disney IP, that they're going to get rid of that before too long. And I also think it is this would be the crux of it, is if Disney wants to prove that they are truly going to double down, if they truly want to get aggressive with this, you go to Universal and you buy out the Marvel IP and you say, okay, here comes the 5th grade. It is all Marvel, and we are going to go all in on this. That would be the thing that probably would raise eyebrows. That would be the thing where you realize Disney's spending money and they don't care anymore. They're going to retake Orlando. They're tired of messing around. They're tired of podcasts having to talk about Disney versus Universal and what Epic Universe's impact is going to be, because that would be proof. That would be proof that they've basically said enough is enough. This is what you want. Here you go.
Okay.
Well, and do we think that Marvel, though, it's too late for that? Their last 5 movies have tanked. Their last 5 movies has not been good. I'm afraid they've waited too long.
I think so too.
I think that they have with kind of the original series, but you see what they're doing out in Disneyland, and I think there's still some excitement around that, as long as Robert Downey Jr. is still on board and they're still doing things related to that. And if they have, I don't know, bring him back to life. Spoiler alert, sorry. But if they keep him on board.
It's not a spoiler alert if you made it up.
They still have time to cancel Villains Land and make it a whole
back to life.
arc.
Well, Iron Man died.
Yeah, and then you said spoiler alert, bring him back to life. Never mind. Jeff laughed. All right,
everybody dies in Marvel and comes back 10 minutes later.
But to answer your question, I agree with I think it's too late on some of the original stuff, but I think it is really exciting what they're doing with like Fantastic Four. I think that it has a tremendous amount of potential if it if it takes off and if it does as well as they hope.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's important. I don't know. I'm not of the mind. I've never have been of building a whole park off one IP, because you're immediately alienating people that don't like Marvel or that don't like Star Wars. I think a better approach is a little bit of a hodgepodge, that something for everybody, I guess, is the best way to put it. Sorry, Amy, go.
You mean
No,
you mean what Epic Universe is, Jeff?
Yeah, what Epic
Literally
Universe is.
exactly what Epic Universe goes. Hey, you know what? Let's get something for the kids. Who's got an idea? How to train your horse? Perfect. Let's make a land on that. Let's
Someone
How to
please
train
put
your
together in the comments all the
capybara.
how to
things
train your lizard.
all of the things Derek has called that land over the course of the past 2 shows.
Okay, I just
But that is
understood.
what's so smart about it. That's what's so smart about them. And Jeff just nailed it perfectly too. Because again,
Derek, let
you're
Amy
not
talk.
trying to
No,
alienate
it's okay.
yourself. Like as much as I love like Star Wars, Jeff's right. I know a lot of people that don't care about Star Wars, that never really want to watch a Star Wars movie. So if you build a whole entire park on Star Wars, yeah, you'd have people like me and a bunch of people freaking out saying how cool it is, but you can't. And that's what I think Epic Universe had meetings of, and they thought about and said, hey, you know what? How can we appeal to literally everyone in the family? I got people that want thrill rides. I got people that got little kids. I like people that like, that used to watch Bela Lugosi on TV. Perfect. Let's throw in a land with them. And let's put, it's got everything all in one. So when people used to come to Disney, that was so great about that Magical Express is you kept them in the bubble, right? I'm coming down for a week. Let's give them enough to do that they have to stay on property for a week. Now, slowly, you take an Uber to your resort and you're like, okay, I've done Magic Kingdom once. I did Epcot. Animal Kingdom, I did like half a day. Well, we got like 3 days left. Where should we go? Oh, let's go check out that Epic Universe, or let's go see Harry Potter, or
Fun
let's
spot.
go see, Gator. Yeah, exactly. The fun spot. I mean, that's just it. So the more options you give people, and the better it is. But again, it's that same mindset. Like you said, people have meetings and they're like, we listened to our guests, and our guests told us they wanted that. No, they didn't. No, nobody said that. Nobody said that.
Okay, I just understood our miscommunication, that when you said spoiler alert, you thought you were spoiling it that he died. If people don't know he died by now, they're living under a boulder. I thought you were making up that he came back to life, and then you said spoiler alert.
There will be one person in the comments that's
I
not
like
watched
that
it.
she themed it to DVC. She didn't say lived under a rock. She said Boulder, as in Boulder Creek. Oh no, Copper Creek. It's not Boulder Creek.
Boulder
Boulder
Ridge,
Ridge.
buddy.
Boulder Ridge.
Okay, I do want to say this. I feel like we've been living under a boulder until we walked by on our way from the Saratoga Treehouse to Disney Springs. You're talking about transportation and Uber and putting a bus depot near Disney Springs. There is a bus depot near Disney Springs. It's called Lynx, and now there are a lot of stops, but there is one at Disney Springs. It does go to Orlando. It goes to multiple stops at Universal Orlando, Universal Boulevard, Winter Park. It also goes to, there was another one on here, Universal Orlando / International Drive Express. So Americana Boulevard / Universal Orlando. So there's multiple stops. So you could actually go and take that bus from Disney to Universal. Make sure you learn about the routes before you do this. But here's what I thought is wild about
I'm already exhausted.
How much do you think it costs to ride this bus?
Probably like $8.
Yeah,
$10.
$4.
Single ride fare, $2. Two. Discounted fare. I don't know how you get discounted fare, but it's $1.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Transfer is free. I don't even know what that means.
This fully proves the point,
An
though.
all-day pass, $4.50.
So
A 7-day pass is $16. You
So
can go
Disney
back
should
for
partner
a
with
full
Lynx.
week.
Universal goes to Lynx and says, I will buy you 25 buses with Universal theming.
Yeah,
I will pay
right.
for the fee for anyone that gets on at Disney and says, I want to come to Universal. That's that transaction is a no-brainer. Like that is
Yep.
so simple.
$2.
Yeah.
They could
Wow.
include it in the cost of a ticket. Easy.
Yeah. That is
$2.
that's crazy. Well,
Back in Utah, it didn't last for very long, but there was a time because we had a regional theme park. It was just mostly roller coasters, like a mini Six Flags called Lagoon. But we also had a Hogel's, like a zoo, and there's a whole aquarium, a whole bunch of stuff that you could buy, like this one pass, city pass, whatever it was called. I think Universal should take that thought and say, anybody that has a Disney room key gets 25% off Universal. Show us your active Magic Band.
We have made Universal so much money this show, I'm pretty sure. And we have lost so many subscribers because we're not talking about Disney Vacation Club. I apologize. I promise you next week we get back to Disney Vacation Club. Actually, we have a lovely conversation next week with Craig McFarland, who is a Disney Vacation Club member and a huge Disney fan. So you will definitely want to make sure you tune in for that. I think I want to end this conversation by asking one last question to all of you, which is, we've talked about what Disney is doing, what Disney has announced at D23. We've talked about Epic Universe ad nauseum at this point in terms of what they are doing there. But I want to make sure it didn't get lost that we did bring up Universal has announced that they are not stopping. There are expansion pads at Epic Universe that are built into this. And if you think that if this is successful, Universal's not going, we'll do it again, then, you're kidding yourself, because I believe that the business directive that Comcast, the parent company of Universal, has said is do everything you can to grow this business unit. There is no ceiling, basically, that they are looking at this point, and they will keep that gas pedal down and keep going. So Universal is saying that is Universal's direction. We know what Disney is doing over the next 2 to 5 to 10 years. My question, and I will go to the optimistic panda first, is it enough? Has Disney announced enough?
Not now yet. No, I'm hoping it's coming.
What do you think they need to do more?
I think that every attraction that's being built now has to be looked at and make sure that it's not just it has to blow you out of the park. You have to start getting back to, wow, Disney, wow, that was great. And I haven't done that since Guardians. So hopefully they come back to that. And I'm hopeful.
Jeff, is it enough? What do they need to do more?
Yeah, it's definitely not enough. And I everything that they've announced up to this point, and the stuff that came out of South by Southwest actually was encouraging to me as somebody that's been a little bit pessimistic about these expansions. I'm excited for them. Don't get me wrong. I love Disney, guys. I am so excited for Villains Land and Monsters, Inc. and all of these things. And the stuff that came out of South by Southwest, that they're actually doing what Imagineering used to do and testing different vehicles, off-roading for cars and trying to get those physics right to kind of immerse you in that. All that stuff is great. But this is all stuff that should have been done 15, 20 years ago. We're past the point now of needing that capacity in addition to a fifth gate. I've said before on the show, Animal Kingdom, it's hard to spend a whole day there unless you look at every single animal that they have. Hollywood Studios is hard because all of the popular rides are in one park, so the lines tend to be very, very long. They should have expanded those parks 10 or 15 years ago so that they were ready to do a real expansion now when it's already kind of too late. I don't know. I think they're going to have to take a break on the hotels and say, all right, we've got to get people coming back to the parks. They've already seen a slight decline. That's going to happen once Epic opens. It's going to get even greater. There's people that will never go to Epic that are Disney fans. It's just not their jam. But I think there's enough people that are interested in these things that Epic is doing and that Universal is doing in general. We're hearing things like Simpsons going away and Pokemon taking its place. That's going to be huge. There's a huge Pokemon group out there. Zelda, Legend of Zelda coming. It sounds like Disney really wants to continue. Universal really wants to be in business with Nintendo. Which, to your point earlier, Paul, maybe that's something that Universal could get rid of Marvel for, because their Marvel's land is pretty sad. So I don't know. I think Disney really is just really behind the 8 ball, and they really got to lay out some money. And I think a fifth gate is the only way.
There's one other thing. Wicked. There's a lot of talk about Universal putting Wicked somewhere, whether it be Epic Universe expansion or somewhere else. That's an IP that's going to bring people in droves.
And here's what Universal does so well with that. They're doing it with How to Train Your Lizard or whatever Derek wants to call it land.
Capybara.
What Universal has done so well with so many of their recent rides, so many of their recent announcements and lands, is the fact that they are launching these products with a movie release. How to Train Your Dragon live action is coming out. That is going to be what really draws a younger audience that maybe, or even us, like those of us that maybe haven't seen or haven't been as ingrained in How to Train Your Dragon. We're going to see that, and then we're going to want to live it. The fact that they have successfully done this, and Disney keeps missing. I always go back to Tron on this one. They could have. Why did they keep delaying the next Tron movie when the perfect opportunity to put it out would have been when that ride launched? Because I can tell you that anyone probably under the age of 18 is really questioning what the heck this ride is about, because they don't know. So you have to be old like us, essentially, to understand, what this ride is and understand the story behind this ride. And they might come out with a movie, I know there's another Tron sequel in the works or something like that, and that'll be out in another 5 years. But at that point, that ride is over 12 years old. Like, it's
older than that, because they've had it in Japan. Like, people have already watched the YouTube videos of people riding it. Now, they did do that with the Smuggler's Run overlay. It is opening the same day that The Mandalorian Grogu hits the theaters, and they've never done that before.
Excited.
Jon Favreau talked about that a lot at South by Southwest and how excited he is. But it's a ride overlay. It's nothing new.
Yeah. So I think Universal has done that so well. Derek, I want to go to you with the same question that I asked everyone else. How many Disney Vacation Club resorts is a proportionate response to Epic Universe?
We're good. No more. It's funny, as everyone talking and making great points, it makes me think of the fact that what makes Disney is why Disney and Universal are competitors, and that's a perfectly fine thing, because I don't know many people, and I'm being 100% honest, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll let me know in the comments or whatnot, but I don't know how many people say, I love Universal just as much as I love Disney, or I love Disney just as much as I love Universal. You can still like them both, but you're always going to have that true love. Like, okay, you got to pick one. And I feel like with Disney Vacation Club and Disney Vacation Club members, obviously it's going to be Disney, because I think the that, again, can be a plus and a minus. Jeff has mentioned many times, you can't change a fork at a park and people get upset. It was like, oh my God, my grandpa used to use that same kind of fork when we used to come in the 70s and blah, blah, blah. So you can't change stuff without it. But that's what keeps people coming back. That Disney Vacation Club member, me included, I'm going to the Polynesian on Friday. I ain't going to a park, but I love when I enter that bubble. I don't care about rides. I don't care about the attractions. I don't care about going into a park. I don't know how many people have that same feeling. In short, how many people do you think vacation only at Universal, and when their trip is over, do they cry? I know tons of Disney people, when their Disney Vacation Club trip is over and they got to leave that Disney bubble, they're very emotional about it, which I think they can complement each other extremely well, because one can offer something, like Jeff said, that the other one simply can't offer, or, like Jeff said as well, won't ever offer in the near future. And that's basically, thrill rides and some IPs that Disney can't touch. It makes me think, and it's probably a topic for another show that probably no one's going to watch, is it enough at Universal to have? And it got me thinking, because they do have a very passionate fan base, that I bet they could have a, Universal Vacation Club, very similar to the Disney Club, very similar with points. Where I think it would be incredibly successful. And I think you could have people that say, you know what, I got my DVC points. That's my, home base, but I'm going to join a Universal Vacation Club just because I want to tack on, 2 nights at the end of my trip, or 3 nights, or maybe that's what I want to do. I'd just be curious, your guys' thought is, do you think that is even a market for it? I think there's absolutely a market for it. I don't see people, getting grand villas and staying at Universal for a whole week, but I think the success of something like a Universal Vacation Club with all the resorts and their resorts are awesome. There's some really, really great ones, and they're all kind of different, and they're in different locations. I don't know. That's just a thought that I think they're missing the boat on that, because I think they would have more frequent return customers.
There's a blog over on DVC Fan that I probably need to update, just given everything that's going on with Universal right now. But we wrote it a long time ago about like, what if Universal were to make a vacation club product? I think the big thing, and we alluded to this a little bit ago, I don't remember if it was this show or the show previous, but all of the hotels currently are owned by Lowe's. So it's a question of whether or not you kind of get in cahoots with Lowe's and sort of say, hey, I want to make, this is the best case scenario, truthfully, for the product, is we want to make a vacation club product that is based around Universal. Can we do that, but also expand it and have the ability to utilize all of the other Lowe's Hotels properties? Because those are scattered around the U.S. So the ability to then, that's the big thing with a lot of DVC members. That's what Disney Vacation Club markets itself on, and they've really doubled down on that marketing recently, is you can go to Disneyland Paris, or you can go here. You can exchange through Interval International. So I think that if I were a Universal executive, I would be having serious conversations with Lowe's Hotels saying, hey, Disney Vacation Club, this Vacation Club product has done so well for Disney. It seems like every new resort that they're building right now is a Vacation Club property. There's got to be something to that, and there's got to be a lot of money to be made there. And so, what do they do that? And what I love about Universal is I think that conversation can happen, because that's a huge money-making conversation. And so they can have that conversation. And meanwhile, Universal Creative can just keep on keeping on and keep on doing what they're doing best, and keep on making rides and keep on doing all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, and to your point, Paul, this hasn't been advertised a lot, but any travel agent in the world knows that this is now a thing, that you can now book a Universal Royal Caribbean package together as one. That's Universal's first step. You'll see a Universal cruise line before too terribly long, or Royal Caribbean themed, like a Marvel at Sea, like Disney does. You're going to start seeing, I don't know, E.T. Jaws at Sea would be awesome. I think that'd go over really well with people.
I would go with it.
But yeah, it's
Titanic experience.
Universal is definitely starting to think outside the box and how to have more than a 3-day vacation.
I'm really curious to send this question to you, kind of to wrap us up, only because I want you to know the evolution of the Amy Krieger, which is that when I first brought her to Orlando for her first family trip, the family was adamant that we needed 3 days at Universal because of Harry Potter, and we could only do 1 day at Disney. And
it was also a price thing. We didn't have a ton of money back then, and it was more affordable to go to Universal.
We were just out of college, we had our first starter jobs and everything like that. So the price to go to Universal was cheaper. And so we could get a 3-day ticket there, and we bought some package through like Advent Health or something.
Yeah, they
were expanding their children's hospital at the time, and you could buy for this amount of money, you could get this many tickets and this many things and an Andretti racing experience and all of this other stuff. And like from a money perspective, it made it make sense for us. So that's the only reason probably we even went to Disney that trip.
Right.
And so
really going to Universal.
It was really a Universal trip. But I was a Disney guy. I was like, you got to go to Disney. Like I'm hoping that you'll want to do more Disney in the future. And it was a terrible 1-day trip. Absolutely terrible. It was mid-July. 112 degrees, and we did half a day at Epcot and half a day at Magic Kingdom. I thought I had ruined Disney. I've told this story so many times. But we then went back. We did a trip by ourselves in which we did moderate. We did Port Orleans, and that was the evolution of Amy kind of seeing what Disney had to offer. So you've ridden both sides of that equation. Do you think Disney's doing enough? Do you think that, Universal is a pretty big threat here in the future?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so when we first went, I actually had fallen in love with Universal first. I remember I loved, it's like the dumbest place right now, but I loved the Lost Continent area. It was something about the mythology and all that. It's changed some. I think they even took part of it for Harry Potter since then. But I just thought that was such a cool themed area. And then obviously I loved Harry Potter, like the Jurassic Park stuff. But, you know, then we started going to Disney, and I started realizing that Disney actually had more to offer than what you can do in half a day when you don't know what you're doing. But one of the big things that kind of drove me away from Disney the first time was the fact that it was hard to ride things, you know, if you didn't have a fast pass, if you didn't know what you were doing. And Universal, on the flip side, was actually a little easier. You know, and you didn't have now, and even now, looking at it now, you didn't have to have a park pass, which you do now. You don't have to have one for Universal. If you have Express Pass, you can just show up whenever you want. You know what I mean? Like Disney, to me, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the time to put in all the extra work, you might end up not liking it. And that's a big difference to me between Disney and Universal. And so if Disney is going to continue down the path that they are on, where, you know, you have to plan ahead, you have to, you know, you have to schedule these lightning lanes at 60 days out, or actually is it day out now or 7 days? I don't even know anymore.
You need a class to figure out how to work it.
I don't even know when I need a park pass anymore. As a matter of fact, we were just going into Animal Kingdom with Dan and Jeff, and it was a weeknight, and it was like 4:00. So by every standard of the word, as annual pass holders, none of us should have needed a park pass, right? Isn't that right?
No, they don't even know, right?
Dan volunteers and does run Disney events. He does medical, and so he gets the free ticket for volunteering. So he has these complimentary tickets in his account that he saves for when family comes. Well, the cast member was actually really snippy with him. Do you remember?
Yeah.
She was like, you have to make a park pass every time because you have all these extra tickets and it doesn't know which ticket to use. If you're an annual pass holder and your annual pass will get you in that day, why on earth should a system assume you're going to use a different ticket and waste a different ticket?
So it's so confusing. Even they don't know. Just the other day, without the extra tickets, 5:00 going into Hollywood Studios, they told me you need a reservation. So it's 5:00. They said, no, you need a reservation. I'm like, no, it's after 2. After 2, like I had spoken something they've never heard of before. Not even a thing.
Didn't you?
Yeah, the same thing happened to Amy Templeton, and it was a quick thing to fix. You go to guest services, and it's literally on a screen, and you have to drag which one you want to pull from first. Once they put her annual pass box on top, it's been fine.
Oh,
but
we need to do that.
That shouldn't need to be a thing that you have to do.
Right. Or they shouldn't act like you should have known that already, because where is the literature being distributed on this information?
Well, I love even more so the fact that park passes, I don't know of a day where park passes have been sold out in the relative past 6-9 months or so. But if you don't have one, Panda, maybe this was your experience as well, then they just stand there and they watch you get on the app, make the park pass, and then try to do it again. It's like, how is that good customer service? If you know that there's availability, you just push the button.
Do it for them.
Let them go.
Do it for the people. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I don't think they have the ability to do that though. Well,
I didn't have any multi tickets. It was just my annual. 5:00. They didn't want to take it.
It should have worked. But anyway, if Disney's going to continue to become as complicated as it continues to be, especially for, they want to draw in new people. They want to draw in the once in a lifetime or maybe once a year at most type of people, because,
I'm going to croak next year.
Supposedly they spend more money, per trip than we do. But if they want to bring these people in, it's got to be easier to figure out. And right now, Universal is a little easier. Now, when Epic opens, I don't think there's going to be any kind of express lane or anything. Do you know?
The rumor is that we should learn more about that before they open. Right now, the express pass benefit that is offered to the premium hotels is rumored to not apply to Epic, at least initially. What I imagine we're going to hear is that there will be an express pass, but it will only be a paid express pass option when they open.
Yeah.
Again, none of that confirmed. It probably was announced before the show ever went up, just knowing our luck. But
even though their Express Pass, when you compare that price to, like, you compare their unlimited Express Pass price to the Disney Premier Pass,
Yeah.
and not only is the Express Pass less, sometimes Premier Pass can be like $400 a person at Magic Kingdom on
But it's
certain
selling
days.
out. It's selling
I know,
out left and right.
but you
It's
only
crazy.
get to ride each thing once, and it's per park. You can do an unlimited Express Pass at Universal, and do both parks, any ride, as many times as you want. So there's a complication factor to where you have to figure out, okay, well, I can only do one ride each time at Disney. I can only buy one for each park each day. Like, even if you have the money to do all that, there's still a complication factor that makes it harder to figure out. If Disney's going to continue down that path, I think that there has to be more draw to make people want to go through the hoops to go through all the complicated, planning and figuring it out. Because I can't tell you how many people message us from home and just are,
What do I do?
it's like, where do I start with you? You've got all these questions and I don't even know where to start. Well, okay, did you make park passes? Did you look at the fast passes? How long are you there? Where are you staying? Did you make dining reservations? Do you understand how to use, just so much. There's just so much.
And that's the problem, is that so many people get started in the process that they've jumped like 3 steps ahead, and you're like, oh no, you're already screwed. Yeah.
Oh, you should have done that last month.
Like it's like, oh yeah, sorry.
But I am excited. I can't say I'm not. I'm so excited for Monsters Land. I'm really excited for Tropical Americas because Disney instills like that desire. Like, you see these things and you're like, oh, I want to travel and I want to see what the real Brazil looks like, or the real Colombia, or you know what I mean? But we need more than just replacements.
Yeah. Well, we've rambled on this topic so long that Derek now looks like he's in his cave because one of his lights has died for the night. So what I'm really interested in is you, the viewers, the listeners out there. If you've never commented on one of our videos or never commented in the DVC Fan Facebook group, this is something that we are very interested in. And we want to know, you as that Disney Vacation Club member, as that Disney fan that watches this show or listens to this show, that clicked on this show today, let us know your thoughts. Is this even a conversation, or do you not care because, Disney is why you bought the product and Disney is what you love, and you don't really care about Universal, the thing, the kid next door, the thing down the street. You just don't care what they're doing. Or is this a conversation that's happening in your household and a conversation that you're having about your future trips? We really want that feedback because we really kind of want to know where this audience is and where kind of the general direction of the parks and resorts are going. So please comment on this video or join in the conversation in the DVC Fan Facebook group. I apologize in advance for 2 weeks of shows kind of talking about Universal. I know for many of you come to us for Disney and Disney Vacation Club. I promise you we'll be back to that next week, but I think this is a wonderful conversation to kind of have. It's one that's coming up in our group a lot, so we thought it was a relevant topic, and we just rambled about it for 2 hours, so you got to enjoy 2 weeks of all of this kind of fun. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the DVC Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next Monday with Disney.